Hello everybody, this is Jeff Janess and welcome to our fourth lab exercise where we're just getting introduced to the ArcGIS Pro interface. In this lab exercise we're going to try several common tasks that you'll do in ArcGIS Pro quite often, including opening new projects, creating maps and layouts, adding data and base maps to maps, and setting spatial bookmarks. We'll practice exporting a layout again, and we'll also learn how to remove layers and then how to use the undo function to bring them back. Okay, let's get started by opening a brand new ArcGIS Pro project. In Windows, you come down to either the search window here and you can type ArcGIS Pro and it'll come up here. You can also go to the Start menu. There should be a place to search in here as well. Either one will get you to ArcGIS Pro. And we're going to make a new map project. All these things up here, these are what they call templates, and all they mean is that if you click one of these, it'll just open ArcGIS Pro with a new one of these. So we're going to start with a brand new map. So I click this, and the first thing it's going to do is ask me where I want to save my project. All right, it'll have this name, and I'm going to have a whole folder with that name, and it's going to be called whatever I want it to call it. But first I have to say where I'm going to put it. Now this is important, especially if you're on the NAU system. Make sure that if you're on the NAU system and you're keeping it on the NAU drive system, then put it on your bonsai drive. And in this illustration right here, you can see how I have the bonsai drive mapped in the image. So yeah, make sure you go to bonsai if you're on the NAU system. I'm not on the NAU system as I'm recording this video, so I'm just going to put it in a different place. So this button lets me pick a folder that I'm going to store the project in. So I have to go find a folder to put it in. I'm going to put it on my F drive in my Pro Projects folder. I hit OK. Then I give it a name. Now you can name your project whatever you want. They're not going to be turning this project in. Just name it something that makes sense to you. And I'm going to call mine Lab 4 Exercises. Hit OK. It goes and makes all the files that are necessary as part of an ArcGIS Pro project. So all those are being made. And now I have a brand new map. And it started with this base map. ArcGIS Pro is initially set up to always add a base map when you make a new map. You can change this if you want. I'm leaving it turned on for now just for these lab exercises. But I personally don't like ArcGIS to do that. In my day-to-day work, I don't have it add these base maps. All right, now, first thing we want to do is add some data to the map. We're going to add this Trails Dry Lake Hills shapefile. This is a map of the trails on Mount Eldon, just north of Flagstaff. So to do that, we come to the Map tab, hit the little Add Data button here. Now, if you might remember in the first lab exercise, we set up ArcGIS Pro to always know where our class data folder is. So I'm assuming you've already done that. Go to the folder, go to your class data folder. The Trails Dry Lake Hills shapefile is in the Dry Lake Hills folder right here. And there it is. I'm going to hit OK. When we first add some data that's not a base map to a map, then ArcGIS Pro will zoom to the extent of that layer automatically. So it just went straight to the extent of the trails. This is all Flagstaff right down here. Next step, we want to add the road map of the Coconino National Forest. That's in a different folder. Still in the Class GIS data folder though. It's in the additional data folder. And we're going to add this layer file right here. Layer files are cool because they'll load up a data set as well as symbology on how to draw it. If you're curious, the actual data set is in this file geodatabase here, and we're going to learn all about file geodatabases later. But in the meantime, I'm grabbing this layer file. It will load up the data from out of this feature class and symbolize it in our map. And there we go. So we have all these roads symbolized with different colors. Now, like I mentioned before, ArcGIS Pro is initially set up to automatically load base maps. Maybe yours is not set up that way. If yours is not set up to load base maps, then you can add one really easily. Just go up to the little base map button here. We can also use this base map to change the base map if we want. If I don't really want the world imagery in there, I can just click this, and I pick another base map that looks good to me. OpenStreetMap is a popular one these days, so I'm just going to switch over to that for now. So now we have three layers in our map. We have the roads, we have the trails, and we have this base map here. So next step is just to get used to these things, see how they work. If I want to turn layers on and off, I just uncheck them. See, the base map went away, the roads went away. I'm just left with the trails. You can turn them on and off. You can drag them so that they draw in different orders. So now the trails are drawn on top. I can even make the base map draw on top, and then you can't see anything under there. Base maps should usually go on the bottom. You can collapse the symbology of a layer. So, for example, the Coconino Rose here kind of takes up a lot of space in our contents pane. We can click this little black triangle and it collapses it. You can do that here as well. Then to uncollapse it, you just click it again. You can group layers, so you can select one. If you hold the Control key down, you can select more than one. If you right-click one of them, there's an option to group the layers. Then they become all put into this group layer here. You can change the name of that if you want by clicking on it a couple times, and then you can type directly in there. And then you can turn the entire group on and off if you want. So I'll turn off that base map. Then I can turn off both of these at the same time by just turning on the group. I can collapse the group in the contents pane, so it just doesn't take up much space. And then I can take layers and drag them out of the group if I want. So now there's nothing left in the group. I'm just going to switch to another base map just to try one out. See what the newspaper map looks like. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I want you to also try out these different sorting options. This one right here sorts by drawing order. This is where we usually spend most of our time. It's helpful to be able to move these up and down to change the drawing order. If you like, you can switch to this one, sort by data source. This tells you where the stuff is stored on your hard drive. I can expand this contents pane to see the full path. So, for example, on my system, the Coconino roads are stored in this place. The trails are stored here. This base map is stored at this HTTPS site. That means it's an online web server. Like I said, we usually work from the sort by drawing order option, so I go back there. Now I'd like you to try the zooming and panning commands. That's if you click the map tab, it's these things up here. If this Explorer tab is active, then you can do a few things. As you see, my mouse has this little hand picture. If I click the left button and drag, it's what we call panning a map. It lets me move it around just like that. If I click the right mouse button and drag, it zooms in and out. I have to drag up and down. See, this is what happens when I'm clicking the right mouse button and moving the mouse. If I roll the wheel of the mouse, it also zooms in and out. And then if I hold the Shift key down, I can draw a little box. And it'll zoom into that box. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down. Now it just lets me draw this. I let up on the mouse and it just zooms into this area. We also have these other commands up here. This goes to a fixed zoom in, so it just zooms in at a steady and constant rate. This one zooms you back out. This one here, the little globe picture, will zoom you out to the extent of all the data in the map. It's going to look a little weird. I'll click it. Remember, the newspaper is a global data set, and so it's zooming us to the whole globe. The reason it looks like this kind of a football shape has to do with the projection or the coordinate system of the data. We're going to get deeply into that topic when we talk about projections and datums. In the meantime, don't worry too much about it. It happens to be that when we loaded up the trails, Dry Lake Hills, that happened to be in a coordinate system called UTM, Universal Transverse Mercator Zone 12. And so ArcGIS Pro automatically set the map coordinate system to that coordinate system, and that's why it looks like this. Anyway, the globe will always take you to the extent of all the data. Then we have these little left button and right button. These kind of take you back and forth, like if you're in a web browser and you want to go back to the last web page you're at. Same kind of thing, except it steps you through the extents that the map was set at. So I click here to go back to the last extent. I can keep clicking it. Keeps taking me back to the history of extents I went to. If I want, I can move over to this one and I can go forward through the list. So just get used to those. It's really important to know how to move yourself around in a map. Then we can always go to the extent of a particular layer. This is really handy because a lot of times you lost the extent you were at and you just need to get back to it. So you right-click on the layer you want to zoom to, gets you the little drop-down list, and you just go to Zoom to Layer, and it'll take you right to the extent of that layer. Sometimes there's a particular extent that just is meaningful to you. So if I went down here, we could zoom into Northern Arizona University, we go to roughly the School of Forestry, happens to be located right in here. In fact, this is the School of Forestry right here. In fact, let's zoom in a little closer, and let's even change the base map to imagery so we can see our building right there in the picture. All right, so maybe I like this area and I want to be able to get back to it quickly. I can set what is called a spatial bookmark. It just lets me quickly jump right back to this spot no matter where the map is focused on the world. So to do that, it's in the Map tab in this Navigate group, and it's just this bookmarks. So you click it. We're going to make a brand new bookmark. I'm going to call it School of Forestry. All right, so now we've saved that. Now if I go to any other extent, maybe I go to the extent of the Coconino Roads. Just zoom to Layer. Here's all the roads of the Coconino National Forest. Well, maybe I have to get back to the School of Forestry extent real quick. I just hit on Bookmarks, and here it is. And just click on it. It takes me right back. The lab exercises, I say to go to the extent of the Dry Lake Hills and set that as a bookmark. So we just right-click, zoom to extent. I'm going to hit Bookmarks, make a new bookmark. We'll call this Extent of Dry Lake Hills. Extent of Dry Lake Hills Trails. All right, so now we have two bookmarks in here. I go to the School of Forestry, or I could go back to the Dry Lake Hills. Okay, next thing to try out is the changing the coordinate system. You might notice down here as we're moving the mouse around, we see the coordinates change, and well, that's cool. But maybe we want coordinates in a different coordinate system. It's pretty common to want to know what the latitude, longitude values are. These numbers happen to be in that Universal Transverse Mercator Zone 12 coordinate system. That's why the X is around 400,000 and the Y is around 3.9 million. Well, if we want to switch that to latitude, longitude, we just click the little down arrow. We can change it to decimal degrees. Now we have the degrees, longitude, and latitude in the coordinates box down there. Now, don't worry too much if you're not really clear on what coordinate systems are, what latitude, longitude, or UTM, or any of that. We're going to get into that pretty deeply when we talk about projections and datum, so it'll become clear in a later lecture. All right, so now let's add a brand new map. We've been playing around in this map called Map, but I want to have a second map. So we do that by hitting the Insert tab, making a new map. There it is. We have our base map automatically added in the background. Happens to be named Map 1 just because that's how ArcGIS Pro does it. We can change the name of any of these maps. So let's change the name of Map 1 to something more interesting. You just click on that and you can click it one more time. It lets you type directly in there. Or you can right click on it, get the drop down menu, and go to Properties. And here you can set the name. We're going to call this map Upper Spruce Watershed. Hit OK. So the name of the map has been changed. Okay, let's add the actual Upper Spruce Watershed polygon. We have to go to the Map tab, then the Add Data button. This is in the Class GIS Data folder, in the Dry Lake Hills folder, and this is at Upper Spruce Watershed Boundary. Hit OK. And ArcGIS zooms us right into it because this is the first layer we've added that wasn't the base map. It also set the coordinate system of the map to be the same coordinate system as this layer that we just added. Okay, now let's add a second layer. We want to add the USA topo maps just because they're really cool. So that's actually, every once in a while it shows up in this list of base maps. It kind of comes and goes. In fact, it is here right now, but we can't rely on it being there. So I'm going to show you another way to get to it. So to add the USA topo maps, we'll hit the Add Data button. This time we're going to go to the Portal section, and we're going to go to ArcGIS Online. We can get it through ArcGIS Online, but we have to search for it. So we have to type up here USA topo maps. We have these options. Go ahead and load up the map image layer. So select that, hit OK. And there's the USA topo maps back there. Really wonderful data set. Okay, now we have two maps. So now I'd like to show you how to add a layout and add these maps to your layout. Remember, a layout is the thing that you'll export. It often has things like north arrows and legends. We're not going to do that right now. But the layout is what you use to produce something for a report or a printed map or a website or something. It's kind of your final product if you're making maps. So let's go ahead and create a new layout. To get to the layouts, you hit Insert. This time, New Layout. And we have to pick the size of the layout. There's lots of options. These are all just basically different paper sizes, and you can make your own if you want. We're just going to make a letter because it's easy. Okay, so and we have now a blank layout. It's set up to be 8.5 inches wide. You can see the ruler up here by 11 inches high, standard letter size piece of paper with nothing on it. Now we have to add the maps to it. To add a map, we hit the Insert tab and Map Frame. Now this is kind of an interesting set of options it shows you. When you click that, you got all these things, and so I'd like you to know what they mean. First off, we have this thing called Map up here and Upper Spruce Watershed here. These are our two maps. So if we had 3 maps in our project, we'd have another one down here. Don't worry about this other right now. That just makes an empty map frame, and where it won't help us right now. Now, in this list here, the first item, default extent. Both maps have default extent. That initially will take you to the extent of all the data in your map. So it would be the whole globe again because we have those global base maps. You can actually change the default extent of a map, but if you haven't done anything special, then it's going to go to the full extent of all the data. That is definitely not what we want in our layout. Now the second item, this will use the scale of the map itself, just the way we had it set up when we left it. So if we switched back over here to the Spruce Watershed map, then our new map frame would be at the scale of the Spruce Watershed that you see here. And if we went to the other map, then it would have this scale in the layout. So it's basically what's visible in the map itself. That's the second item. Then anything past that second item are spatial bookmarks. So we had a spatial bookmark for the School of Forestry and for the Dry Lake Hills Trails. If we wanted, our layout could be automatically zoomed to one of our spatial bookmarks. So we have all those options. For this lab exercise, I want to zoom to the extent of the visible range of the map itself. That's the second one. So we're going to add a map frame for the first map, and then we're going to do it again for the second map. So let's start by clicking this. Now that window goes away, but I'm able to draw a box now. So I draw my little box and just fill roughly the top half of the layout. As soon as I let up on the mouse, it adds the map to the layout. So now we have the map called Map added to our layout. But now we want to add the Upper Spruce Watershed map to our layout as well. So we go to Insert, Map Frame. This time we go to the Upper Spruce Watershed section. Now we want the second option, which means use the current scale of that Upper Spruce Watershed map. Click on that. Now I'm ready to draw a box, so I'm just going to make it fill the bottom half of this layout. Let up on the mouse, and there it is. There's ways to change the scale of the map while it's in a layout. It gets a little tricky sometimes, and we're going to get more into it when we talk about cartography. But if I wanted to, say, zoom to a particular extent of a layer, I could still do it. Remember, in the map, we could click on a layer and go to Zoom to Layer. Well, these layers are still visible here in the contents pane of my layout, so I could right-click on the layer here and go to Zoom to Layer, and it'll zoom out as well. But now I have my layout, and presumably this is what I wanted to create, so I'm ready to export it and go into whatever document I want it to go. And for this lab exercise, it is going to be one of your homework assignments, so I want you to remember how to export a map. We tried it before, but let's do it again. So to export a layout, we go to the Share tab, then hit this Export Layout button. Remember to click the top half of the button, not the bottom half. Okay, it asks us where we want to put it. I'm going to call it My Name Lab 4. It's a JPEG, it's 100 dpi, so that looks good. We just hit Export, goes to work. Can close this window. Now we go to Windows File Explorer to find it. I go to that same folder where I put it. Here it is. And I can take a look at it by right-clicking on it and saying open with some basic file. The photos probably work okay. Okay, and there it is. Looks like it exported okay. So you'll be able to turn that in with your homework. Okay, now just a couple last little things to practice in this lab exercise. I want you to know how to remove a layer if you want. So let's go to one of our maps. Just going to Upper Spruce Watershed. There's our map. Maybe we want to get rid of the Upper Spruce Watershed boundary layer. You just right-click on it and click Remove, and it goes away. Now, it doesn't mean it's deleted from the hard drive or anything. It's just removed from the map. The data set itself is still fine and safe out there. Now, if I removed it by accident or did almost anything in ArcGIS Pro by accident, I can usually undo that last thing I did by hitting the little Undo button up here. You can also hit Control-Z, it will undo it. But if I hit this button right now, it'll undo the last thing I did, and it'll bring back that layer. All right, and then we want to save our project if we ever want to use it again. And we can use our project again in the next lab exercise. I'm just going to hit Save. This is how you save your project. All right, and that should do it for this lab exercise. Thanks so much.